We're so lucky to have a new teacher on our team this year, and it's Miss Bethay. So she's going to share her journey when she graduated from high school. So, when did you graduate from high school?
I graduated high school in December of 2013. And then
In what month?
December.
Oh, duh!
In December. So before I walked with the rest of my class, I went to Ivy Tech for a semester. So Ivy Tech is where you live at home and then you commute to the school in Indianapolis.
Why did you choose to do that and not go on to another school?
I wanted to test it out and make sure that I wanted to leave to go to school. So sometimes we don't know if we want to stay at home for school or like leave and move away and go to school. So I wanted to test it out and get a couple of extra credits before I tried to like go all the way to Ball State.
So you chose not to take a gap year.
No gap year.
No gap year. And for you, that worked out better.
Yes.
Okay, because you may not have gone on if you would have gone into the place of employment.
Yeah, I would have gotten too distracted.
Okay.
So I just went on.
Good point. So you get into Ball State in what? August of 2013?
No, August of 2014.
2014. And prior to going to Ball State, you filled out what form?
I filled out the FAFSA before I went to Ivy Tech, and then that FAFSA carried that whole like little school year or whatever.
Okay.
Right?
Right. And filling out FAFSA, did you have to have parents' income?
You have to have at least one parent or guardian's income, so I had to use my dad's because my mom doesn't live out of state. If you have a parent who lives out of state, you'll be considered as like an out-of-state student at an in-state college, and that'll cost you more. So you want to like find somebody, a guardian or whoever who lives in-state.
Okay, so filling out FAFSA ended up getting you, well first, before you filled out FAFSA, you knew that you were a what? What kind of a scholar?
21st century scholar.
Awesome, and we've got about 60% of our student body in Wayne Township. And Ms. Hunt's recording this, and she knows over at the 7th and 8th grade center, they always encouraged filling those forms out. So, Ms. Hunt, if you look up at that sign right there, so the senior year, grade 12, you have to file your FAFSA. So Ms. Bethay did that. She was a 21st century scholar. So you knew up front that your tuition was going to be 100% paid for 4 years.
Yes, so that doesn't include books, that doesn't include food, and that doesn't include where you live. But what you have to pay for to go to class, that's what 21st century pays for.
So you had your tuition paid for all those 4 years at Ball State, 3.5 years, or did you go for
I did
4?
I did four because my first semester I didn't have to use my 21st century scholarship.
Okay. So you got that covered. So then you had to pay for your room and your board.
Mm-hmm.
So for 2 years, because you'll tell them in a minute about your last 2 years to pay for room and board. For 2 years, how did you pay for your room and board?
So the first year, my freshman year, I had to use scholarships and a little bit of loans to pay for somewhere to live. So I got a Pell Grant, which is something you get from signing up for FAFSA, and then I had to take out a loan for the rest of the room and board.
Did you have to pay back the grant?
No, I didn't. You don't have to pay back a Pell Grant.
Okay, but you do have to pay back the loans.
Yes.
So then you're accumulating a little bit of debt, and then your junior and your senior year, you didn't want to accumulate any more debt, so what'd you apply for?
Well, my sophomore year and my junior year. So my freshman year, I knew I wanted to become a resident assistant, or that's called an RA, and that's basically a person who helps you when you live in the residence hall or like a dorm, helps like the students get comfortable and tells them where to go if they need anything, and they plan programs and try to get them excited about campus and all that. So that's what I did for 2 years, and when you are an RA, you get free room and board. So if I had a 21st century scholarship and then I became an RA, I wouldn't really have to take out any additional loans if I didn't need to.
Okay, so then you shared with me a little bit ago that you do you mind sharing how much total college debt you have?
After all 4 years, I owe about $15,000.
Okay, and you know you have to pay that back. You'll never get out of paying that, right?
No, I might.
Yep, and guys, you got to be careful because student loan debt, if you don't pay it back, even if a person ever declares bankruptcy, you can't have student loan debt that you don't pay off. So, Ms. Bethay, over the next, you got to pay it back within 10 years, right?
I don't know.
I think it is. I know it is.
She
because
knows
my
that.
daughter pays that part. So, actually, I pay it for my daughter. And
But if you
tell
become
why
a
later.
teacher, there's about $5,500 that you can get paid back.
Right.
From
And
the
that's
state
what
of
I just shared with
Indiana.
Ms. Bethay today, so we're going to try to get, but she also had some good thoughts, which we'll have
Okay.
to share
Well,
with you later about
What was
not.
my good thought?
When you said,
my thought was, first I had other scholarships, so you can apply for other scholarships. There's also scholarships you can get through just from FAFSA. So I had a teaching scholarship when I was in school that helped me pay to become a teacher, because even if you have like room and board, which means a place to live and something to eat, and then tuition paid off, you still have to like buy soap and toothpaste, and you might want to eat out, you know, a little bit. So you're still gonna need like a little bit of extra rules. The state or somebody will pay off your student loans. However, I was telling Ms. Fulford that in order for them to do that, you have to teach for like 5 or 7 years. And my hopes was that I would already have mine paid off and that I wouldn't have to worry about somebody else paying it off. Because you never know if like, they'll say today maybe I have to teach for 5 years, but maybe in 5 years they change the rule and it's like 10. And then I still have $15,000 in debt when I could have just paid it off myself.
Well, and the coolest thing about that too is you're holding yourself accountable for what you did with our government. You borrowed money, and instead of you in your mind saying up front, somebody else is gonna pay that off for me, which is the taxpayers, it's all of us that work out in the real world work, then you're holding yourself accountable back. So nothing wrong with letting somebody else cover that if there's an opportunity, but you're looking ahead, which is really cool. So the last thing I wanted to ask you, you shared that you do have that $15,000 debt.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were an RA, if you had Pell Grant money, what would you have ever used that on? You could never have bought enough soap and toothpaste to cover $15,000 worth.
Oh, when I was in college, I got Miss Fulford's trying to tell you how I spent $15,000.
That's right. It wasn't on soap.
Okay,
it
so
wasn't on
basically, when you take out loans, you are responsible for what you use it for. There are no stipulations. If you take out a $1,000 loan, whatever you buy with it is on you. You just have to pay it back. So when I was in school, I got braces, and when I was in school, I also bought a car because I did not have parents who were able to do those things for me when I was in high school, and I didn't have parents who were gonna like be paying for anything else that I needed. Like once I got to school, it was on me. So whatever money I needed to figure out how I was going to do it. So those are two big purchases. Like braces cost like $4,000 and a car costs at least $1,000. So that's a big chunk of the money that I spent aside from just other necessities.
Yep. So guys, the national average on school student debt for college students with a 4-year degree is around $38,000. So Miss Bethay is well below that. So way to go, girl. Hey, come on, we can do it. So we're proud of you, and you are a great example for what our student body needs to follow. So thank you.